You're watching this being like, mate, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? Whew. All right, one more set of these. Training culture. Ooh, imagine that, just fucking bang. What is going on, people? So I've been training just calisthenics. I don't think I've touched weight, at least from my back, Jesus Christ, in the last almost 3 years. I've done a bit of chest because my chest fucking is definitely lacking. But in terms of my back, I have not touched any weights for the last 3 years. And especially the last 2 years, all I've focused on is 3 exercises. And this has built up my physique in terms of building lean muscle mass, the overall aesthetics, the V-taper and all the rest of it. And I think with the optimal training culture, oh Jesus. With the optimal training culture, I think it's created a kind of a false narrative around the fact that you need to do everything in terms of training optimally to build your back or to build any muscle group, when it's just not the case. If you're a bodybuilder wanting to step on stage and you want to have that edge, that 5-10% edge, then yes. But for majority of you, all you need is to train fucking hard. So you need mechanical tension to actually build the muscle. And then you obviously need the right sleep, the right recovery, and the right diet. Training calisthenics, building your way up with progressions, building your way up to do fucking crazy shit is the most motivating way to train. And you're gonna train at a high intensity, you're gonna be more consistent, you're gonna be more adherent. So you're probably gonna see better results anyway. So we're gonna work through, this is gonna be my session. We're gonna go through a bit of a session. Obviously you might not be at my level, but there are going to be, I'll explain to you the progressions that I've worked through. So you're gonna find a position where you can actually train the same way I do, and obviously slowly work to the position where you can get to where I am. So let's go through this and we'll touch on the 3 exercises that have blown up my back. And so it's been pissing down rain in Bali. The last week it's been as well. We've had some proper floods, it's been crazy. But hopefully it doesn't piss down on us. We don't get much coverage here. Either way, the first exercise, I'll start off with probably the most foundation basic one. It's obviously a pull-up variation. I think pull-ups are absolutely by far one of the best ways to build muscle within calisthenics for sure. Obviously we don't just do basic pull-ups and get to a point where we can do 25, 30 reps. If you want to do that, fucking by all means do that. But I think you want to make sure you're working through the progressions to also be building strength and obviously skill. I haven't been doing weighted pull-ups much at all. So this isn't the actual exercise that I've built up over the last 2 years. But obviously at the position you're at, and I'm just doing a warm up at the moment. So this is going to be something that you want to try and build up. What I do recommend actually progressing through is one, obviously the weighted pull-ups, but what I tend to recommend, if you don't want to go down the weighted pull-up path, and you definitely don't need to, I think this is probably even better, especially for like later skills. It's actually working toward at least an archer pull-up. So like doing side-to-side pull-ups, obviously archer pull-ups, and then progressing to what I'm going to be training today, at least, once I'm warmed up. But fuck, I hate training at 7 a.m. Body is just definitely not warmed up for the day. But yeah, here's obviously an archer pull-up. If you can get to an archer pull-up, some pretty solid strength. So I highly recommend, if you've already got to a point where you can do 10 pull-ups, try and do everything you can to start progressing to an archer pull-up as soon as you can. Side-to-side pull-ups, slowly get to a point where we can fully extend those elbows. Really, really good. So the first exercise that has absolutely built up my back is, you may have guessed it, one-arm pull-ups. So progressing to one-arm pull-ups, I think it's absolutely been unreal to obviously just build up the overall mass. The mechanical tension placed on that's unreal. Weighted pull-ups in terms of just building muscle, maybe slightly better, but I just prefer training these. I think doing one-arm pull-ups is fucking sick. So we're just slowly working up to a one-arm pull-up. I'm not sure if I'll actually do one today. A little bit sore, but we'll warm up to it. Really need some fucking chalk. I don't normally train here, to be honest. I normally train at either Nirvana or Omni in Bali. I don't know if any of you guys know that, but here lets you record, so it's good. And it's actually a really good gym too. Raw Gym's unreal. It's really nice. But it doesn't have that kind of community recovery feel that most of the other gyms have here in Bali. The gym culture here is unbelievable. So in terms of the programming for a one-arm pull-up, I feel like this is probably the most important aspect of it. Yes, you obviously got to make sure that you're progressing from, well, banded pull-ups, normal pull-ups, side-to-side pull-ups, archer pull-ups, and then doing the banded pull-ups as well. I wouldn't start programming banded pull-ups, one-arm pull-up variations until you have a clean arch pull-up, or at least like a weighted pull-up of half your body weight. So while you're progressing through those, you need to make sure that you're actually working somewhere in those lower rep ranges to really build strength. And obviously in terms of building muscle, it isn't as quote unquote optimal. You probably want to be working around a 4 to 6 rep range. So if you really want to try and get the most out of the exercise in terms of both building strength and building muscle, I'd probably work in the 4 to 6 rep range for each side. I think that's really good because you're going to build up a lot of muscle mass, a lot of mechanical tension, but also still build some really solid strength. So I'd probably do that. And training it twice a week, I think this is quite a demanding exercise. Training it twice a week, maybe 3 or 4 sets is pretty good. And it's probably what I've done for the majority of the time. I actually ended up getting a bit of a tendinopathy issue, golfer's elbow, doing these. So I didn't train it for probably a year. Or maybe, actually no, probably not a year. Probably about 9 months. But we've started to really bring it back and I fucking love training it. All right, so we're out here in Raw Gym and we are doing a full back workout routine. This is what I've been doing over the last 3 years and that's what built up my back. So we migrated inside because Bali weather is a little bit unpredictable at the moment. What I'm doing is 2 sets of attempts. So probably just do like maybe 1 rep. We'll see how I'm feeling today. I am a little bit fucking sore to be honest, but 2 sets of attempts and then we'll do 2 sets of banded variations. And I've been doing that about once or twice a week, give or take actually, to be honest with you. Maybe not always twice a week, at least in the programming at the moment. So let's get stuck in. Oh, it's fucking slippery. It's wet. Yeah, boy. All right, attempt 2. Oh, that is definitely fast. There's 2 reps of attempts. Form was very shit on that second one as well, but it's kind of, at least for the first set, I don't mind doing some more closer to attempts and really push that intensity. Probably not my best reps either, but that's all right. We'll do 1 more set of those. So my videographer was just like, are you ready to go again? And I'm like, it's been fucking 2.5 minutes. So in terms of rest periods, you need to be resting as long as you practically can. Seriously, like, especially that first exercise, I'll honestly rest about 5 or 6 minutes. Seriously, 5 or 6 minutes. And especially like your harder, more skill-based stuff, very strength-based movements, your first 2 to 3 exercises, rest as much as you can. Obviously things that are a bit more conditioning, hypertrophy-based, and you're just kind of going through it, maybe a little bit easier. You can get away with just kind of going through the motions a little bit. But rest times, especially building strength, but also building muscle, you want to be as fresh as you can for each set to get the most out of it. So rest times are so important. Honestly, the biggest hack is resting 5 minutes between each set. Fucking swear to God. I think it's been 5 minutes. Might be a bit less, but we'll go for 1 more. Whew. All right, so 1 more attempt. Oh, yes. Really need chalk. Oh.
Check 1, 2, 3, final countdown, no time to breathe. Get your mind ready, your rhymes better be on to the teeth to be defeated by heat. The one they call the GOAT, checkmate on the beat. Okay,
they're done, thankfully. We'll do some banded variations now. So obviously, if you were trying to follow along, the last 2 sets would be definitely a bit of a stretch for you, but you can follow the same suit. Do 2 sets of attempts with the hardest variation that's possibly for you, which might be archer pull-up, or even maybe banded pull-ups, banded 1-arm pull-ups, and then do 2 sets at a little bit of an easier variation, but still obviously very difficult for you, where instead of getting that 1 to 2 rep range, you might be getting like a 3 to 5 rep range. So I think following something suited in terms of that is going to be really good in terms of building your conditioning for both a strength perspective and also building up the form technique and still a bit of strength as well. So I think, yeah, going about that in terms of doing a temp and slightly changing the overall rep range to get a different stimulus in terms of growth is so important within calisthenics as well. Just as, yeah, training at that high intensity, doing those attempt efforts, super important. But if your whole session is like that, injury risk, cooking yourself in terms of your CNS, not building up the right technique and form is just going to cook you up. So that's why we still need to make sure we're doing it with the right, finding that balance is super important. Anyway, probably get 3 reps of these ones. I'm going to start with my right arm this time because I did both of my left previously, and I think my right is actually weaker.
Show 皱眉就是被我逐渐带入的迹象，隔山古典从不必然看我逃避，上落地平稳像在平地上，遇上预兆如气象，预报意想不到，所以记着带避孕套，我一手拍照，一手握。
I'm also going to rest between my right and left side, only like 30 seconds or so, but it will help me just get a little bit of a breather, and then I'll rest my full 5 minutes again. It's weird, my left is marginally stronger in terms of pull, but I'm obviously right-handed. We'll see. When you're doing these as well, obviously progress through in terms of the band resistance, so like how heavy the band is and how light it is, but also the higher you hold it there, the more resistant, the lower you hold it, the less resistance, so you can use that in terms of the progression. You can also do the one-arm pull-ups in a different way. You can see I'm doing them here with the band as close as I can to the midline, and I do like that, but I'll also do variation where it's a little bit further away, it's probably a little bit harder, and you have the opposite arm completely extended as you pull that way. So it's a different variation to go about it, but I do like it keeping it nice and sensual and building up that movement pattern. It seems to be the most specific to a normal actual one-arm pull-up, and that's obviously really important. So for this set, I'll show you the other way of doing it. It does feel quite good actually, but just two. You can see the intensity I do it here isn't as crazy high as my previous one. I'll probably keep that 1 rep in the tank. Generally for building strength, gonna be a little bit better outside of doing the actual attempts. Definitely less fatiguing as well, so the following sets are gonna be a little bit less compromised. Oh, it's so much easier on my left. All right, and that's it for one-arm pull-ups. Move on to the next one, huh? Exercise 2.
1, 2, 3, final countdown, no time to breathe. Get your mind ready, your rhymes better be on to the teeth to be defeated by heat.
So, second exercise that I think has definitely helped me build up a pretty substantial physique. Obviously with one-arm pull-ups, we're building up vertical pull. This one we're doing a horizontal pull. So for the basic exercise, it's inverted rows. Obviously if I were to do inverted rows, it might be a little bit too easy. So building up front lever pull-ups has been absolutely huge for me. They're just warming up the movement a little bit, but obviously that's somewhat intermediate. Definitely not easy. For yourself, if you want to actually progress the front lever pull-up, definitely have a strong pull-up first, but you can use bands, and you hold the band, get it as tight as you can around here, and then you can get into that tucked position and do reps this way. That's a great way of doing it. But you'll see what I'm doing. We'll be progressing to a little bit harder variations. So I'll go into that first one, we'll see where we're at. Might try go for a front lever pull-up attempt, we'll see. So you'll see how I'll follow suit in terms of how I structure this as well within my second exercise. I'll probably go for my hardest attempt, be about a rep or two for a couple sets, and then I'll do a couple sets once again with a slightly easier variation, but we'll see. So biggest thing I see wrong when people do front lever pull-ups, by the way, is not false gripping enough. It's gonna be hard for me to false grip actually without the chalk and the session here, but when you're starting the position, wrap your hands around as much as you can. You can see here how far my arm wrapped around. So then when I get into that front lever, I am completely false gripped. And then that way, obviously you'll be able to get your hips and touch the bar. If you're like even just overhand gripped, it's gonna be too hard for you to actually get that full range of motion and get your hip to touch the bar. Also, don't let your hips sag. Keep your hips, you can be slightly inclined when you're doing your front lever pull-ups. You'll see me do it here, I might be slightly inclined. And probably the biggest hack in calisthenics is that, taking the shoes off. I don't know, did you record me doing that? No shoes.
Yeah,
all right.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, final countdown, no time to breathe. Get your mind ready, your rhymes better be
Oh,
on
fuck
to the
me.
teeth to be defeated by heat.
Not ideal, but that's all right. All right, second attempt. I'm probably gonna go for just a halfway position. Halfway is actually harder than a straddle position. So in terms of the progression, straddle, then halfway, and then full. So I'm gonna try and go 3 reps in an actual halfway, see how that goes. And if you wanna do the same thing, obviously similar to what I'm doing with the one-arm pull-ups, I'm doing 2 sets, harder variation, 2 sets slightly easier with better form. So you could do the same thing. Maybe you're doing band and tuck front lever pull-ups with a heavy band, or like a relatively lighter band for the first 2 sets and then go for a heavier band the next 2 sets. Or even do a heavy band for the first 2 sets and then do 2 sets of like inverted, elevated rows. The best thing about calisthenics is you can follow a similar workout to what anyone is doing for the most part, but then obviously just use the regressions that are specific to you and your level of strength. And that's the joy of calisthenics. Instead of actually increasing the weight and reducing the weight, change the difficulty in the variation, assuming you already have some decent foundation level of strength. Otherwise, you'd want to continue with just pull-ups and inverted row stuff. So that's the joy of calisthenics. Always things that we can be doing instead. All right, so 3 reps of half weight. Fuck. Oh yeah? Imagine that, just fucking bang.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Final countdown, no time to breathe. Get your mind ready, your rhymes better
that was
be
very
on.
hard, actually. Fuck me. I normally do this exercise first, to be honest with you. So probably, I find the one-arm pull-up the hardest. I want to probably start training that a little bit earlier, and I didn't want to not be able to do a one-arm pull-up on this camera. I needed to impress you guys as well. So, all right, 2 more sets of the easier front lever pull-up variation, which we'll get into soon.
So for this one, we're doing front lever pull-ups, obviously the band. I'm also going to start in that touch position. By touch, I mean the top part of it, the actual hold. That's the hardest part of the movement, and I want to try and spend more time on that position. You don't have to follow suit. It's entirely up to you.
On the beat, I'm show that you don't work.
So, I did the last set, speaking to the camera for about 5 minutes, and I think you might not be able to hear me right now. I didn't have my singlet on, and my mic was attached to my singlet. So all I was saying though was that when I do the easier banded variation, I start in that top touch position and just to spend a little bit more time under tension in the hardest part of the movement. And also just building up that kind of ability to just be strong at the top there, so the front lever touch. And I also, same again, I leave about 1 rep in the tank for these ones. Still very high intense, like still fucking very tough. I like to set up my front lever pulls like this. My coach back in the day, apparently somewhat ambiguous to do it like this. I think when you're doing pull-up, band and touch to your feet is okay. I think if you're doing actual banded front lever holds or banded front lever raises, I think you're better off doing it like this. When you do have the band there, I think it gets rid of a little bit of that core hip flexor element, just very slightly. Not a heap, but I think that's why it's fine for pull-ups, but that's just me fucking blubbering on anyway. Let's go for 2 reps, front lever touch starting.
On the beat, I'm show that you don't work. Flow,
fucking hell. Don't forget to try the breathe as well. So I'm actually gonna do 3 sets of this one. Probably won't record it, but only because I want to try and build up that front lever touch a little bit more, and it's a little bit more of an important exercise for me. And then we'll move into that 3rd exercise, which I think has built up my probably a lot of my lats, I would say. But either way, we'll get into it.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Final countdown, no time to breathe. Get your mind ready, your rhymes better be on to the teeth to be defeated by.
So by any means, these exercises are so far from optimal in terms of building muscle, especially the way I train it in terms of the lower rep ranges. Could be a little bit better if we were kind of pushing that, as I said, like 5 to 8 rep range maybe. But that's why I want to fucking make this video and highlight to you that you do not need to be training fucking optimally. If you want to make sure you're building muscle, diet optimally, recover optimally, don't drink so much fucking alcohol, sleep really good. That's going to be so much more advantageous in comparison to just fucking doing a single arm seated cable row to bias your lat over a fucking dumbbell 1-arm row because of the fucking resistance path or resistance curve of the exercise. I just want to reiterate, train at a high intensity, do exercises that you prefer to actually do, adhere with that, be consistent, and you're gonna see a crazy fucking crazy progress in terms of the muscle that you build. And especially if you're wanting to go down the route of what I'm doing now in terms of building strength and building skill and calisthenics, so much more enjoyable. I can't even emphasize that enough. So yes, it's not optimal, still build fucking crazy amount of lean muscle if you do everything else right as well. What do they say? Pleasure is progress. And calisthenics is fucking pleasure, I'm telling you. Especially once you get through those real beginner stages of just building foundations and you start to see a little bit of a path in terms of those advanced calisthenic skills, doesn't get better. I'm addicted. I have to try not have it. It's not about motivation, and I promise you, you'll be the same. Whew. Oh fuck. Whew. All right, next exercise. So the 3rd exercise, definitely far from optimal in terms of building muscle, but I do think it's played definitely an element for myself, front lever raises. So obviously this is a great exercise to build up your actual front lever itself as well. But what we're doing is we're taking the muscle through a full range of motion. Maybe not a full range of motion, at least a decent range of motion. And the one thing that isn't actually great for building muscle are holds. And I'll vouch for that. So if you do want to try and build up your planche, or build up your front lever, spend a little bit more time doing dynamic variations of it. So like pull-ups and raises. Still do holds for sure. I think it's important to. You'll build up that in isolation, but doing a little bit more exercises at a full range of motion. Take the muscle through a range of motion. Still help, really, definitely help building strength for sure. They're a little bit more fatiguing, but they're also great for building muscle. All right, so front lever raises. Oh, good fatigue. Obviously, if you're watching this being like, Matt, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? There are definitely many ways you can do a front lever raise, and I think one of the best ones to start with is an inverted deadlift and building that up, and you can do that with a band too. That's absolutely awesome. And then you progress through the variations the same way you do any front lever, like advanced tuck, frog raise, straddle raise, halfway raise, full front lever raise. And you can also do banded front lever raises too, which I think is a very, very excellent exercise to build up your front lever as well. So there are variations for absolutely fucking everything, guys, no matter where you're at, assuming you're past the foundation levels. Whew. All right, one more set of these. All right, final set of these raises, and then we'll do 2 sets of the easier variation. Let's go.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Final countdown, no time to breathe. Get your mind ready. Your rhymes better be on to the teeth to be defeated by heat. The one they call the goat checkmate on the beat.
As I said, these are really good at just building up your front lever holds as well. Excellent exercise. Just make sure that when you come down, get straight back into that front lever or tucked front lever, whatever variation you're doing. So we've got 2 more sets using an easier variation. And in terms of my actual session now, I am going to do some front lever touches, and I'll probably try and train some one-arm handstands a little bit later. Either way, there's one thing you're going to take out of this video. Pleasure is progress, and to like, subscribe, and jump in my calisthenics community if you want like programs, community support, coaching calls, and I promise you those programs there and the structuring of it, if you're in that beginner or intermediate level and you're trying to push advanced, will be absolute fucking elite for you. So jump in there, follow me on Instagram. Really hope you enjoyed the video and got a lot out of it. See you guys. Absolute pleasure.